The wind howls through the empty streets of McCarthy, Alaska. Snow swirls like restless spirits, piling against the rusted remains of old mining buildings. The town is silent, except for the crunch of footsteps on frozen ground. But sometimes, just sometimes, travelers hear something else, something that does not belong. Locals whisper about a figure that appears during the harshest snowstorms. They call her the Frozen Lady. Some say she is the ghost of a woman who died long ago in the unforgiving cold. Others claim she is something far older, a spirit bound to the town, walking the ruins to warn those who wander too close. No one knows for sure who she was. Some believe she was a miner's wife, left alone when her husband never returned from the mines. Others insist she was a traveler, caught in a blizzard, her life stolen by the merciless Alaskan winter. What everyone agrees on is this: she appears suddenly, and her eyes are filled with a strange warning. Travelers who have seen her describe a pale, frozen face framed by long, dark hair, her clothes stiff with frost. She moves slowly, almost gliding, and her presence is accompanied by a bone-chilling silence. It is not just the cold that freezes your blood. It is the feeling that she is watching, waiting, and judging. Some say she is harmless, a ghostly guide who protects the living from the dangers hidden in McCarthy's snow-covered ruins. But others tell a darker tale. Those who ignore her warnings sometimes vanish, swallowed by the blizzard or lost among the abandoned buildings. One hiker described seeing her pointing toward a ravine, silently, before disappearing into the snow. Later, he found the edge of the cliff where he would have fallen had he not followed her gesture. Another account speaks of a snowmobiler who saw her in the distance, warning him to turn back. Moments after he ignored her, his vehicle skidded on hidden ice, narrowly avoiding a deadly crash. What makes the Frozen Lady so terrifying is not just her appearance. It is the way she makes people feel. Travelers report sudden drops in temperature around her, as if the very air becomes solid ice. Footprints appear in the snow where she has walked, only to vanish moments later. Sometimes, there is a whisper on the wind, soft and urgent, like a voice that only your mind can hear. And then she is gone, leaving behind an eerie emptiness and the gnawing fear that she might still be watching from the shadows. McCarthy is a place most people pass through without notice. But when the storm comes, when the snow blinds and the cold bites deep, the Frozen Lady appears. She is not a story told by campfires. She is a warning written in frost and wind. And for those who wander into her territory unprepared, she may be the last thing they ever see. No one truly knows who the Frozen Lady is. Some say she was a miner's wife, a woman who waited endlessly for her husband to return from the treacherous mines that surround McCarthy. The mines were dangerous, dark, and unforgiving. Many men never came back, lost to collapses, frostbite, or sudden avalanches. Legend says she waited for him, wandering the snow-covered streets of the town night after night, refusing to leave, refusing to accept his death. When she finally succumbed to the cold herself, some believe her spirit never moved on. Others tell a darker story. She may have been a traveler, caught in the merciless winter, desperate for shelter and warmth. Perhaps she froze alone in the ruins, her body left behind as the storm raged on. Over time, her spirit became bound to the town, trapped in the same cold and isolation that claimed her life. Some locals whisper that she is not just a ghost, but a guardian of the wilderness. She appears not to haunt, but to warn, pointing travelers away from deadly snowdrifts, frozen creeks, or unstable ruins. Yet, even this warning comes with an eerie weight. Her presence is unsettling, her face pale as ice, her eyes dark and empty, holding secrets no one can fully understand. Those who have seen her describe her in haunting detail. Her hair is long and dark, matted with frost. Her clothes are old-fashioned, stiff with ice, like she stepped out of the past. Her skin is pale, almost translucent, and her eyes, black as the endless night, seem to look through you, seeing your fears, your mistakes. She moves slowly, with a grace that is almost unnatural. Some claim she glides across the snow instead of walking, leaving no footprints, Yet the cold follows her like a shadow. Travelers report feeling chills that have nothing to do with the wind, a sudden freezing that crawls up their spine when she is near. Despite her fearsome appearance, many believe she is a protector. Those who pay attention to her warnings often survive dangerous situations that would otherwise end in tragedy. But there is a warning in her gaze. She does not speak. She does not smile. She does not allow you to touch her. She is a spirit caught between worlds, a frozen sentinel of the Alaskan wilderness. Those who disregard her presence, or who mock the stories, sometimes vanish, lost to the snow and ice as if the land itself takes them. Even the oldest residents of McCarthy respect her, especially during the long winters when storms trap people in the town for days. They share stories quietly, warning outsiders, teaching them to pay attention to sudden chills, strange figures in the blizzard, and shadows that seem to move on their own. For many, the Frozen Lady is not a tale of terror. It is a reminder of the unforgiving power of nature and the spirits that may linger in the cold, abandoned places. McCarthy is not a town in the traditional sense. It is a frozen relic, a place where the past refuses to die. Snow blankets everything, muffling sound and distorting reality. The streets are empty, lined with decaying wooden buildings whose paint has long since peeled and faded into ghostly shades of gray. Rusted mining equipment juts out of the snow like forgotten skeletons, reminders of a time when the town was alive with the hope of fortune. Now, it is a place where silence dominates, and the wind carries whispers of the long dead. Isolation defines McCarthy. The nearest civilization is miles away, and during winter, the snow makes travel nearly impossible. Roads vanish under drifts, and storms can strike without warning, trapping anyone foolish enough to wander too far. It is in this vast emptiness that the Frozen Lady thrives. She appears most often when the town is hidden beneath heavy snow, when visibility is low and danger is hardest to sense. In this quiet, frozen landscape, every creak of wood, every crunch of footsteps on ice becomes magnified. The mind starts to play tricks, and the line between reality and the supernatural blurs. The ruins themselves hold stories. The old general store, now collapsed in places, carries the scent of rotting wood and frozen dust. Abandoned cabins, their windows shattered, expose interiors darkened by years of neglect. Snow drifts inside, creating ghostly sculptures of frost and ice. Travelers say that even in daylight, shadows move in ways that defy logic. And at night, when the moon casts a pale glow over the snow, the town seems alive. Not with people, but with memories, grief, and perhaps the lingering presence of the Frozen Lady herself. Every corner of McCarthy seems designed to confuse and disorient. Paths twist unexpectedly. Hills and depressions hidden under layers of snow can cause falls or entrap travelers. Frozen rivers and ice-covered cliffs await the unwary. It is a place where even seasoned adventurers tread carefully. And it is here, amidst the frozen ruins and hidden dangers, that the Frozen Lady makes her appearances. She knows the town intimately, the safest paths, the hidden threats, the spots where storms will strike hardest. Some say she is the only true guide in this desolate place, though she is not gentle or forgiving. She is a warning embodied, moving silently through the snow, her eyes scanning for those who will not heed her presence. The winter storms amplify the fear. Blinding snow, howling winds, and bone-chilling temperatures make the town unforgiving. A traveler caught unprepared may not survive long. But the Frozen Lady does not chase. She waits, sometimes visible at the edge of vision, sometimes emerging fully from the blizzard. Her figure is unmistakable against the white landscape, pale, frozen, and still, like a statue carved from ice, yet somehow alive. In McCarthy, every sound, every shadow, every gust of wind could be her warning. To ignore her is to risk becoming another story lost in the snow. Travelers and locals alike speak of the Frozen Lady in hushed tones, sharing stories that are almost too strange to believe. One hiker recalled trudging through waist-deep snow when he saw her for the first time. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light, a shadow cast by a ruined building. But then he noticed her clearly. A pale figure, her dark hair frozen against her shoulders, her eyes fixed on him with an unspoken warning. She raised a hand slowly, pointing toward a narrow trail that veered away from the path he had been following. Moments later, he realized he had been heading straight for a steep drop, hidden under fresh snow. Following her silent guidance saved him from certain death. Another account comes from a group of snowmobilers who had been exploring the outskirts of the town during a heavy blizzard. Visibility was almost zero, and the wind whipped at their faces like knives. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the distance, standing perfectly still on a mound of snow. One of them, certain it was a hallucination, laughed nervously and kept moving forward. Seconds later, one of the snowmobiles skidded on a hidden patch of ice and almost plunged into a frozen creek. Only then did they turn back, and the figure was gone. No footprints remained in the snow. Only the memory of her pale, frozen face lingered, haunting their thoughts for days. Locals have their own chilling experiences. An old miner once told of a night when he returned to McCarthy after checking traps in the woods. Snow had fallen heavily, and he struggled to find his way back. Suddenly, he saw her figure standing near the remains of the general store, illuminated by the dim moonlight. She did not move at first, but as he approached, she slowly pointed toward a collapsing bridge that he would have crossed without noticing. The miner later said he felt a deep, unnatural cold around her, a cold that seeped into his bones and made every nerve in his body scream for caution. He made it home safely, but he never forgot the warning, and he never returned after dark. Even those who dismiss the supernatural are forced to question what they saw. A wildlife researcher, trained in cold weather survival, reported seeing a woman walking through the blizzard near the old mines. At first, he thought she was another researcher, but no one was scheduled to be in the area. She vanished before he could approach, and when he retraced the path, he found nothing but her footprints in the snow, and then even those were gone, as if the snow itself had swallowed them. The memory of her warning gestures and hollow stare stayed with him, unnerving him far more than any natural hazard of the Alaskan wilderness. These sightings share patterns that make them eerily believable. She appears during snowstorms, always near ruins or dangerous areas. Her gestures are deliberate, pointing travelers away from danger. She never speaks, yet her presence communicates urgency, fear, and sometimes despair. And no matter how far you try to escape, she seems to vanish and reappear at the edge of vision, always watching, always warning. The Frozen Lady is not merely a ghost story. She is a part of the town, as real and as terrifying as the frozen snow that covers it. The Frozen Lady's warnings are not always subtle. Some travelers have ignored her, thinking she was a trick of the wind or a hallucination brought on by exhaustion and cold. For them, McCarthy's unforgiving winter quickly proved that the apparition is far more than a legend. One snowmobiler, confident in his experience, saw her standing in the distance near a frozen river. She raised her hand, pointing toward a hidden crevasse beneath the ice. He hesitated, shrugged it off, and continued his path. Moments later, the ice cracked, sending his snowmobile plunging into freezing water. He barely escaped with his life. He swore afterward that if he had seen her warning just a second earlier, he would have avoided the near-death experience entirely. Another traveler, a hiker exploring the abandoned mines, ignored the fleeting glimpse of her pale figure at the edge of a snow-covered cliff. He pressed on, certain it was just a trick of the blizzard. Hours later, he became disoriented, slipping on hidden ice and tumbling down a shallow ravine. Struggling to survive in the freezing cold, he suddenly saw her again, hovering silently near the top of the slope, pointing the correct path back to safety. Hesitant and trembling, he followed her silent instructions and made it out alive. But he described the sensation as being watched by a presence older and wiser than anything human, a warning laced with quiet anger for those who disregard it. Even locals respect the cautionary role she plays. An elderly miner recounted a winter when a group of hunters ventured too far into the mountains without proper gear. They reported seeing her ghostly figure, silently moving through the storm, warning them to turn back. One member of the group ignored her gestures, mocking the story as superstition. Within hours, a sudden blizzard trapped them in the mountains. Only those who had heeded her warnings survived, while the others were found days later, weak and frostbitten, forever changed by the encounter. These turning points in the story illustrate a chilling truth. The frozen lady is not a passive spirit. She is active, deliberate, and focused. She has knowledge of every hidden hazard in McCarthy. The sudden drops, thin ice, and treacherous ruins that can claim a life in minutes. Her warnings are urgent, sometimes terrifying in their immediacy. Yet, she does not force her guidance on anyone. She appears, points, and watches. Whether you survive or perish often depends on whether you have the humility to see her for what she truly is. A guardian of the living, a messenger from the frozen past, and perhaps a spirit who cannot rest until the living heed her warnings. The line between protector and omen is thin. She can save lives, but only if travelers listen. Ignore her, and the consequences are swift and brutal. This delicate balance makes McCarthy more than a haunted town. It makes it a place where the frozen landscape itself becomes a deadly character, with the frozen lady as its mysterious and merciless guide. Those who encounter her rarely speak of it in detail, but the fear remains long after the snow melts. The frozen lady of McCarthy has puzzled skeptics and believers alike. Scientists and researchers often look for logical explanations. They suggest that what travelers see could be hallucinations caused by hypothermia. In extreme cold, the mind begins to distort reality. Shapes and figures emerge from snowdrifts and shadows. Whispers are heard in the wind, and the imagination fills the emptiness with terrifying visions. Some argue that heavy snowfall, drifting ice, and moonlit reflections on snow can create the illusion of a person moving silently through the storm. It is not impossible that these sightings are simply the brain struggling to make sense of an unforgiving environment. Yet, the accounts are often too consistent to dismiss entirely. Multiple travelers have reported the same details. A pale, frost-covered woman, long dark hair, old-fashioned clothing, and gestures pointing toward danger. In some cases, those who followed her silent warnings survived, while those who ignored them faced near death or worse. The precision of these warnings is difficult to explain purely as coincidence or hallucination. Footprints that vanish, sudden temperature drops, and the eerie silence surrounding her presence make the encounters seem more than human imagination at work. Local historians offer another perspective. McCarthy's past is steeped in tragedy, with stories of lost miners, frozen travelers, and families torn apart by the harsh winter. They believe the frozen lady could be the restless spirit of someone who suffered an untimely death, bound to the town by grief and unfinished business. Her repeated appearances near dangerous spots in the town might be her way of preventing others from experiencing the same fate she did. Some elders even suggest she is a guardian spirit, a presence that warns the living while unable to move on to the afterlife. Folklorists also propose a deeper, almost supernatural explanation. In many cultures, spirits bound to cold or harsh landscapes are said to protect the living or punish the unwary. The frozen lady fits this archetype perfectly. A silent guide whose form is both frightening and sorrowful, her warnings precise yet mysterious. The harsh Alaskan winter, combined with McCarthy's abandoned ruins, creates an environment where such a spirit could manifest, at least in the eyes of those who have encountered her. No matter the explanation, the legend endures. Rational or supernatural, the frozen lady leaves an undeniable mark on those who witness her. She embodies the danger of the frozen wilderness and the fragility of human life in extreme conditions. For travelers, the lesson is clear. Respect the cold, respect the ruins, and most importantly, do not ignore the warnings of the silent, frost-covered woman who still roams McCarthy. Whether a ghost, a hallucination, or a guardian spirit, her presence remains a chilling testament to the mysteries that linger in abandoned places and frozen lands. The frozen lady of McCarthy is more than a ghost story whispered by locals. She is a living memory of the town's frozen past, a reminder of the unforgiving wilderness, and a presence that commands respect and fear. Long after travelers leave the abandoned streets and snow-laden ruins, they carry with them the memory of her pale face, her dark eyes, and the silent warnings she delivers. She lingers in dreams, in the whisper of wind through the rusted buildings, and in the sudden chill that creeps through clothes and bones when least expected. Some say she is still there, gliding through the snowstorms, eternally vigilant. Others claim that she only appears to those who truly need guidance, or to those who dare to ignore it. Either way, her legend endures, growing with each new story, each new encounter. The cold of McCarthy becomes more than a natural force. It is intertwined with her presence, a frozen guardian and a reminder of the fragility of life in this harsh, abandoned land. Travelers who venture into her territory are advised to heed her silent guidance, for ignoring her may mean more than getting lost. It may mean never returning. Her legacy is not just fear, it is respect. Respect for the wilderness, for the dangers hidden beneath the snow, and for the spirits that might still walk among us. The frozen lady reminds us that some places are not meant to be tamed. They are wild, mysterious, and dangerous. She is the embodiment of McCarthy itself, beautiful, haunting, and impossible to ignore. And so, when the wind howls through the empty streets, when snow drifts bury the town under thick, blinding white, and when silence stretches across the abandoned ruins, remember this: the frozen lady is watching. She may be warning you, she may be saving you, or she may be ensuring that the cold, the snow, and the shadows claim another story to add to her legend. The next time you travel through Alaska, or find yourself caught in a winter storm, keep your eyes open. In the distance, through the swirling snow, you may just see her, pale, silent, and unyielding, a ghostly guardian of a frozen, haunted town. The snow fell silently over Eastern State Penitentiary, blanketing the prison's high stone walls in a cold, white shroud. The night was still, almost too still. Each flake that landed seemed to swallow sound, making the world outside feel distant, like it belonged to someone else. In this frozen silence, the penitentiary loomed like a ghost from the past, a fortress of punishment, pain, and whispers that refused to die. On nights like this, visitors say the prison seems alive, breathing softly through the icy corridors and shadowed courtyards. Those who walk its grounds in winter speak of feelings that cannot be explained. A sudden drop in temperature, a shiver that has nothing to do with the cold. Footsteps echo where no one walks, the crunch of snow outside the heavy iron gates. Yet when you look, the yard is empty. Guards and tour guides have reported hearing distant moans and groans. Some say it sounds like men crying in despair, wandering the stone hallways as if trapped between this world and the next. Chains clatter somewhere deep inside, though all doors are locked and empty. The sound travels through the frozen air, echoing off the high walls, making it impossible to know where it begins or ends. The penitentiary was designed to isolate, and winter magnifies that isolation. Snow transforms the massive, empty courtyards into a frozen stage, where shadows stretch unnaturally and the light from lanterns seems weak against the dark. It is in these moments, when the wind whispers through the broken windows, that the prison's past seems closest. Those who have been here describe a feeling of being watched, a presence that lingers just beyond the corner of their vision. Some swear they've seen figures crossing the courtyard, dressed in old prison uniforms, moving slowly, deliberately, as if reliving a punishment that never ends. Even the bravest find themselves hesitant to walk the corridors alone. The combination of silence, snow, and stone creates a soundscape that amplifies every small noise. A door creaks, a chain rattles, footsteps echo, and suddenly the air feels thick, almost alive. Visitors have reported doors that slam on their own, cold drafts that cut through the heaviest coats, and shadows that vanish when you turn your head. The penitentiary doesn't just hold ghosts in stories. It seems to hold them in the very air, the walls, and the snow-laden grounds. This is a place where the past never truly leaves. On nights when the snow falls thick and the wind is still, Eastern State Penitentiary becomes more than a prison. It becomes a stage for the restless. The moans, the chains, the fleeting glimpses of figures. They are not just memories. They are warnings, whispers of a winter haunting that has endured for over a century. Those who dare to visit in these frozen months report feelings that linger long after they leave, a cold that reaches deeper than their coats, and a silence that never feels empty. Eastern State Penitentiary was built in 1829, a fortress of punishment unlike anything the world had seen before. Its founders prided themselves on a system meant to reform prisoners through isolation, strict routines, and harsh discipline. Each inmate was confined to a single cell, alone with stone walls, iron bars, and the deafening silence of solitude. The prison was intended to cleanse souls through reflection, but for many, it became a place of suffering that never ended. The cold stone floors, drafty corridors, and stark cells created an environment where despair took root like frost creeping through a window pane. Famous criminals walked these halls, men whose crimes shocked the nation. Their names are long forgotten, but the fear and anguish they experienced still linger in the shadows. Some were locked away for decades, living in total isolation, cut off from the world outside. Visitors and historians who have walked the empty corridors describe a feeling of oppression, as if the very walls are heavy with memories of pain. Solitary confinement in winter was particularly cruel. The cold seemed to seep into the bones of the inmates, and the snow-covered courtyards offered no warmth or solace. Every footstep echoed like a reminder of punishment, every sigh of wind a ghostly whisper. The penitentiary was revolutionary, but in ways that inspired horror rather than hope. Guards often reported unusual occurrences even in the 19th century. Doors swinging open by themselves, strange sounds in empty wings, and shadows moving against the flickering light of lanterns. In the winter, these reports became more frequent. Snow made the prison eerily silent, but it also amplified every small sound, making even the slightest echo feel like a scream. The isolation that had been designed to reform men instead seemed to trap something darker, something that refused to leave even after death. As decades passed, Eastern State saw riots, escape attempts, and tragedies that added layers to its dark history. Some prisoners succumbed to despair and madness, and legends grew around their final moments. Witnesses claimed to see figures pacing endlessly through the empty cells, faces twisted with torment, chains dragging behind them. Visitors decades later report the same, phantoms that seem tied to their suffering, replaying a winter torment that never ends. The stories are countless, each more chilling than the last, and many say the prison itself remembers. The ice, the snow, the stone, all are vessels for the lingering presence of those who suffered within. Even today, walking through Eastern State Penitentiary is to walk through history steeped in fear. The past is not buried. It clings to the walls, drifts in the frozen courtyards, and whispers through the iron bars. Every shadow has a story, every echo a memory, and winter turns it all into a haunting performance. This prison, designed to isolate and punish, has instead become a place where isolation continues beyond death, where the ghosts of history still roam beneath the falling snow. Winter transforms Eastern State Penitentiary into a landscape of frozen silence, a place where even the slightest noise feels amplified. The courtyards, normally vast and imposing, become ghostly under a thick blanket of snow. Iron bars glisten with frost, and stone walls are glazed with ice that reflects the pale moonlight. The cold doesn't just bite. It lingers, creeping under coats and gloves, chilling to the bone. In this winter stillness, every shadow seems alive. Every echo hints at something unseen. Those who walk the grounds in these months describe a sense of being watched, as though the penitentiary itself is aware of every step they take. Isolation is magnified in the snowy months. The prison was built to keep inmates apart, and winter only reinforces that sense of loneliness. Empty corridors stretch endlessly, lined with locked cells that once confined men for years. The wind whistles through broken windows, carrying faint, unidentifiable sounds that resemble distant whispers or moans. Tour guides and security staff have reported hearing footsteps behind them when no one else is present. A door may creak, or the chains that once held prisoners may rattle, and the source is nowhere to be found. In winter, these sounds are sharper, more distinct, and impossible to ignore. Visitors often speak of the uncanny stillness that descends in the snow. Even the normal sounds of the city feel miles away, swallowed by thick blankets of ice and frost. In this frozen silence, the penitentiary's architecture seems to come alive. Stone arches, cold walls, and narrow hallways create echoes that warp perception. A simple gust of wind can sound like someone pacing the hall, a distant laugh, or the dragging of chains. Many claim that the icy courtyards hold lingering figures, ghostly shapes glimpsed from the corner of the eye, disappearing when looked at directly. Some say they appear in the same spot each winter, as if trapped in a cycle that mirrors their punishment in life. The isolation isn't only physical, it's psychological. Snow muffles every sound, creating a surreal environment where perception is heightened. Guards on patrol have reported sudden chills that make their skin crawl, even while wearing heavy winter gear. Some describe seeing breathless figures in frosted overalls or prison uniforms walking the courtyard silently, leaving no footprints behind. Others claim to hear muted voices whispering warnings, begging for release, or repeating their last words. This eerie combination of snow, silence, and historical suffering makes winter nights in Eastern State Penitentiary unlike anywhere else. Even for those who enter with skepticism, the snow amplifies the penitentiary's haunting. The bitter cold, the reflective frost, and the shadows stretching unnaturally across courtyards create a sense of disorientation and unease. It is here, amid the frozen expanse, that visitors often feel the presence of the past most acutely. The winter doesn't just cover the prison, it awakens it, turning courtyards into stages for echoes of sorrow and despair. With every step crunching in the snow, every distant sound bouncing off the icy walls, it becomes clear that Eastern State Penitentiary is not merely a relic of history. In winter, it is a living testament to the suffering, fear, and restless spirits that never truly left. The cold, snowy nights at Eastern State Penitentiary are not just quiet, they are haunted. Visitors and guards have reported experiences that defy explanation. It starts subtly. A shadow flickers at the edge of vision, a distant moan drifts down an empty corridor, or a sudden chill passes through even the warmest coat. Some swear that the prison itself seems alive, breathing softly through its stone halls and icy courtyards. The isolation and silence magnify every sound, making the echoes of the past almost tangible. Chains rattling in abandoned cells are among the most common reports. Staff members describe walking through wings of the prison, only to hear the metallic clanging of restraints in areas that have been empty for decades. The sound is not faint. It rings sharply, bouncing off the stone walls, lingering in the air. Some say the chains move as if dragged by unseen hands, while others describe a cold gust sweeping through their body at the same moment. Tour guides recount moments when they were alone in a hallway, only to hear doors slam somewhere far away, though every lock had been secured. Moans and whispers are often reported in the snow-covered courtyards. On winter nights, when the snow muffles normal sound, these noises carry unnaturally. Some say the voices are mournful, like prisoners calling out in desperation, while others insist they hear faint laughter. Mocking, cruel, and impossible to locate. Visitors claim that the whispers seem to follow them, moving from one corner to another, vanishing whenever they turn to look directly. The combination of snow, silence, and history creates a sensory illusion that keeps even the most skeptical on edge. The most unsettling accounts involve figures glimpsed in the peripheral vision. Guests describe pale shapes crossing the courtyards in old prison garb, walking with deliberate slowness. When observers focus on them, they vanish. Some claim the figures repeat the same paths, as if stuck in an endless routine, reenacting punishments inflicted decades ago. Guards have reported seeing shapes at the end of hallways, standing perfectly still, only to disappear when approached. Many describe the feeling of being watched, a presence that lingers just behind them, following silently through frost-laden corridors. Even routine tours can turn unsettling in winter. Guides have spoken of sudden temperature drops, icy drafts that cut across fully enclosed areas, and objects moving without explanation. One account tells of a tour group that paused in a courtyard when when a faint groan echoed across the snow. All heads turned, expecting someone to emerge from the shadows, but no one did. Then, chains rattled in the distance, the sound echoing like the footsteps of hundreds of unseen prisoners. The group hurried away, the eerie sounds following them until they reached the safety of the main entrance. These encounters are not mere stories. They are repeated experiences, documented over decades. Eastern State Penitentiary in winter seems to awaken the memories of those who once suffered inside. Moans, chains, shadows, whispers. They are not isolated events. They form a chilling pattern, one that convinces even skeptics that something lingers beyond death. The penitentiary's stone walls, icy courtyards, and isolated cells become a stage for a haunting that refuses to end, replaying over and over under the winter snow. One of the most chilling incidents at Eastern State Penitentiary occurred during a bitterly cold winter night, a night when the snow lay thick and the air was almost impossibly still. A group of security guards was performing a routine patrol of the courtyards. The prison, empty and silent, was already unnerving, but what happened next turned fear into something almost tangible. As they walked past the center of the courtyard, a sudden, unnatural stillness fell over the snow-covered ground, as if the world itself had paused. Then came a sound, a dragging, metallic scraping that echoed across the stone walls. At first, they assumed it was old equipment, perhaps frozen pipes or fallen chains. But then they saw it. A figure, tall and motionless, dressed in a worn prison uniform, walked slowly across the courtyard. Its movements were deliberate, almost mechanical. The snow beneath its feet remained untouched, no footprints marking its path. The guards froze. Their radios failed, crackling into silence, and the wind, which had been calm moments ago, seemed to swirl around the figure, carrying with it a cold that burned through coats and gloves. One of the guards called out, but no response came. The figure paused at the edge of the courtyard, turning its face toward them. It was pale, almost translucent, and its eyes were hollow. Time seemed to stretch as they watched, unable to look away. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the figure vanished into the night. No trace remained, no footprints, no disturbance in the snow, nothing but the echo of the dragging chains fading into silence. The guards reported later that the temperature had dropped several degrees in an instant, and their hearts had never felt heavier with dread. This incident was not isolated. Over the years, multiple visitors have reported seeing similar figures. Shadowy forms pacing courtyards, walking through walls, or standing at the end of empty corridors. Some say they glimpse prisoners in old uniforms, replaying their final moments, trapped in routines of punishment that ended decades ago. What makes winter nights especially terrifying is how the snow amplifies the silence and the echoes. A distant moan, the rattle of chains, or the crunch of unseen footsteps suddenly becomes deafening, overwhelming, impossible to ignore. The terrifying aspect of these encounters is how real they feel. Witnesses describe a physical sensation, a weight in the air, a chill that seems to follow them long after they leave the penitentiary. Even the most rational minds struggle to explain what they saw or heard. Was it the lingering echoes of suffering, the residual spirits of those who perished within, or something more sinister? The story of that night has circulated among staff and visitors, becoming almost a legend. And for those who experienced it, it left a lasting mark. A proof that winter at Eastern State Penitentiary is unlike any other season, a time when the past refuses to stay buried. The strange events at Eastern State Penitentiary have baffled visitors, staff, and historians for decades. People ask, what causes the moans, the chains, and the fleeting figures on snowy nights? Some explanations are grounded in logic. The prison is an old building, with stone walls that echo every footstep and gust of wind. Even small noises, doors creaking, snow crunching under boots, or loose chains shifting, can sound amplified in the silent winter air, creating illusions of movement or voices. Cold drafts blowing through broken windows can produce groans and whistles, tricking even the most skeptical into thinking something is there. Yet, logic doesn't explain everything. The accounts are remarkably consistent. multiple witnesses at different times, reporting the same strange sounds and visions. Guards have seen figures in prison uniforms pacing courtyards or standing in corridors, only to vanish when approached. Chains rattle in locked rooms. Cold spots follow people through empty halls. The prison seems to have a rhythm, a haunting pattern that defies normal explanation. Could it be residual energy, the suffering and torment of hundreds of years trapped in stone? Some paranormal experts believe that places of extreme anguish leave echoes of the past, replaying like ghosts stuck in time. Others suggest something darker. Stories of apparitions, shadowy figures, and unexplained noises have persisted long after the prison closed. The winter snow adds to the sense of isolation, making perception fragile and heightening fear. Shadows lengthen unnaturally in the snow, sounds carry further than they should, and the cold seems almost alive. Those who have experienced it firsthand describe the air as thick, heavy, almost sentient. You cannot always see the figures clearly, but their presence is undeniable. Some theorists call this haunting by imprint, a phenomenon where intense emotions leave traces on the environment that the living can sense, especially under extreme conditions like winter. Skeptics point to imagination, adrenaline, and the power of suggestion. Guided tours often share the history of despair and torture, priming visitors to expect something supernatural. In a place designed to isolate, control, and punish, it's easy for the mind to fill empty spaces with shadows. Yet, even hardened skeptics have reported chills, unexplained movements, and whispers that defy explanation. There is a fine line between fear created by history and fear that originates from beyond it. Eastern State Penitentiary seems to walk that line with every winter snowfall. Whether one believes in ghosts or not, the penitentiary's winter hauntings cannot be ignored. The combination of isolation, history, and the stark winter landscape creates a sensory trap where reality and imagination intertwine. Each step through the snow-covered courtyards feels weighted with memories of the past. Every distant moan, every echoing clang of iron, seems like a message from those who suffered here. And perhaps, in the coldest nights of winter, when the wind howls and the snow blankets the prison, the spirits of Eastern State Penitentiary are not just remembered. They are alive, waiting, and watching. Winter at Eastern State Penitentiary is more than a season. It is a transformation. The snow doesn't simply cover the courtyards. It awakens them. Every flake seems to amplify the silence. Every gust of wind carries whispers from the past, and every shadow stretches unnaturally across the icy ground. Visitors and guards alike describe the feeling of being watched, followed, and sometimes confronted by echoes of a long, tortured history. The prison's stone walls, iron bars, and frozen cells hold memories that refuse to fade, memories of isolation, fear, and despair that winter seems to bring to life. Even after leaving, many who have walked the snow-covered ground speak of sensations that linger. A chill that sinks deeper than any winter cold. The echo of chains rattling in empty halls. The faint whisper of footsteps behind them when no one is there. Eastern State Penitentiary becomes a place where time is blurred. The past and present coexist in a frozen, haunting loop. Those who have experienced it firsthand often say it changes the way they see history, not as stories written on paper, but as a living, breathing presence that watches and waits. Some may try to explain it away. Echoes, imagination, the power of suggestion. But the consistency of accounts, the repeated sightings of figures in the snow, and the chilling sounds that defy logic leave questions unanswered. Winter at Eastern State Penitentiary is a season of heightened awareness, a time when the prison reveals itself not just as a relic of the past, but as a stage for the restless spirits trapped within. Every snowfall becomes a reminder that some stories cannot be forgotten, and some sufferings do not end with life. So, the next time snow falls thick over the walls of Eastern State Penitentiary, and you hear a distant moan, a clang of chains, or see a shadow move across the frozen yard, ask yourself, are you witnessing the echoes of history, or something more? The prison stands silent in the winter night, yet its presence is undeniable. Somewhere beneath the snow, among the empty cells and frozen courtyards, the haunting continues. And perhaps, if you dare to enter, it will find you too. The wind howled through the dense forests of Vermont, carrying with it a biting cold that pierced straight to the bone. Snowflakes tumbled from the sky like frozen whispers, blanketing the landscape in an endless sea of white. A lone traveler trudged along a narrow path, boots sinking into the deep snow with every step. The world felt silent, yet there was an odd tension in the air, a heaviness that pressed down as if the forest itself were holding its breath. Then, faintly at first, a sound reached his ears, a soft, rhythmic jingling. He paused, eyes scanning the swirling snow. Sleigh bells, but there was no sleigh in sight. No horses, no carriage, nothing. Just the trees, white and silent, the crunch of snow under his own feet. The jingling grew louder, echoing unnaturally through the forest, surrounding him from every direction. His heart raced, a cold sweat forming on his brow, though the air itself was freezing. The sound seemed to float over the snow, passing through the trees without disturbing a single branch. It was impossible, yet it was happening. Every instinct screamed for him to run, but his feet felt rooted. A strange fascination held him in place, an almost magnetic pull toward the sound. He tried to convince himself it was a trick of the wind. Perhaps a snow-covered branch knocking against another, or maybe another traveler and hidden behind the drifts. But the jingling came again, sharper, more deliberate. It was a cadence that mimicked life, but the forest held no sign of movement. No hoof prints, no sleigh tracks, just pristine snow stretching endlessly. Then, for a moment, everything stopped. The wind died, the snow hung frozen in the air, and he felt it, an almost imperceptible pressure, like someone unseen was standing just beyond the tree line. Coldness unlike the snow's chill, deeper and more penetrating. And then, the jingling returned, this time louder, closer, circling him. The sound seemed to weave around the trees, approaching from every direction at once. He turned sharply, searching for the source. But the forest offered nothing, just snow and just silence. And the haunting, impossibly real sound of sleigh bells with no sleigh in sight. Fear surged, raw and unrelenting. Every nerve in his body screamed that he should flee, yet he could not. Something about the sound rooted him in place, a mixture of terror and fascination. He realized he was no longer just hearing bells. He could feel them vibrating through the snow, through the air, through him. The sound carried a weight, a presence that chilled him far beyond the reach of the winter storm. Something old, something unnatural, and something that did not belong in this world. As the traveler's breath fogged in the icy air, he noticed a faint outline in the swirling snow. It was subtle, almost blending with the trees, yet it moved with fluidity that no living creature could match a sleigh. But it was unlike any he had seen before. No horses pulled it. No one guided it. It glided silently over the snow, leaving no trace, no tracks, only the sound of bells that seemed to echo from another time. The traveler's mind raced. Was it a trick of the storm, a hallucination? Or was he witnessing something far older, far darker than any story could explain? In Vermont, deep in the snow-covered forests, there exists a tale whispered by those who venture out in winter storms. A tale of a phantom sleigh, drawn not by horses, but by something beyond comprehension, and a sleigh that appears during blizzards, accompanied by the unmistakable ringing of bells, and those who hear it rarely forget. The forest grows quiet again, yet the echo lingers, a reminder that in the coldest, snowiest nights, some sounds belong to no living creature, and some presences watch silently, waiting. The forests of Vermont are old, older than the towns that dot the valleys, older than the snow-laden mountains themselves. And within these ancient woods, locals whisper of a presence that has haunted these lands for generations. A phantom sleigh that glides silently through blizzards, seen by few, feared by all. It is said that the sleigh appears only when the winter storms are at their fiercest, when the wind howls like a chorus of ghosts and the snow falls thick and unyielding. Those who have encountered it tell of the same eerie signs. The faint jingling of bells, tracks in the snow that vanish into nothing, and a sudden, icy chill that presses against the soul itself. Stories of the sleigh stretch back decades, handed down from farmers, hunters, and weary travelers. One legend speaks of a stagecoach lost during a blizzard in the 1800s, carrying a wealthy family from the towns of Vermont to the city. The sleigh vanished into the storm, its passengers never seen again. Yet on some of the coldest nights, travelers swear they can hear the faint echoes of bells, as if the coach still moves through the forest, trapped in time. Another tale recounts a hunter who, decades ago, followed the sound of bells into the woods. He found nothing. No sleigh, no tracks, just a forest that seemed to stare back at him. And yet, he swore that something invisible had passed close enough to brush against his coat, cold as death itself. The legend is more than just old stories. It is embedded in the fears of those who live near Vermont's deep forests. Snowstorms are no longer just a danger from nature. They are a test of courage, a night when the phantom sleigh might choose to reveal itself. Some say the sleigh is driven by the spirits of the lost, eternally wandering the woods, unable to find rest. Others believe it is a warning, an omen to those who travel alone in winter storms, reminding them that not all that moves in the snow is alive. Even today, the fear lingers. Locals avoid certain paths during blizzards, choosing longer, safer routes. Hunters return from the forests with tales of unexplained sounds. Bells, whispers, fleeting shadows that vanish before the eye can fully comprehend them. And those who have ventured too close often describe a feeling of being watched, followed, as if the very forest knows their steps and waits for the moment to strike fear into their hearts. The sleigh is never constant, never predictable. It appears and disappears like a wisp of smoke, always at the edge of perception. And yet, the legend persists because those who claim to see it do not forget. Some speak of glowing eyes in the darkness, glimpses of figures shrouded in mist, and the unmistakable sound of horses that do not exist. The forest itself seems to conspire with the apparition, hiding it in plain sight, letting only the bells betray its presence. In Vermont, winter storms carry more than snow and wind. They carry a memory, a presence older than the towns, older than the mountains. A phantom that glides without horse or driver, ringing its bells across the snow. For those who hear it, the forest becomes a place of dread, where every crunch of snow could be the approach of the invisible, and every gust of wind could carry a warning. Some mysteries are meant to be felt, not understood, and some ghosts walk among the living, forever unseen. The most terrifying part of the phantom sleigh legend is not the stories passed down through time. It is the accounts of those who have experienced it themselves. Farmers returning from late-night chores, hikers caught in sudden blizzards, even hunters following trails deep into the forest. All have reported encounters that defy explanation. Each story adds layers to the haunting, each witness leaving the forest with a fear that lingers far beyond the snow and cold. One such account comes from a man named Samuel, a lifelong Vermonter who spent decades guiding hunters through the remote woods. On a particularly fierce winter night, he was returning to his cabin after checking traps. The wind had picked up, snow whipping around him, when he first heard the bells. Soft, distant, almost polite, they seemed to dance across the snow. Samuel froze, certain that some traveler was nearby. But as the sound drew closer, he saw nothing. No horse, no sleigh, not even footprints in the deep snow. The jingling circled him, and then, as suddenly as it began, it vanished. Yet when he reached his cabin, he discovered strange tracks in the snow, sleek, deep impressions of runners, disappearing abruptly into untouched snow, as if the sleigh had passed through another world entirely. Another chilling encounter was shared by a young hiker named Emily, who had ventured into the forest to photograph the winter landscape. The storm had come on quickly, reducing visibility to a few feet. She heard the sound first, a soft chime, like distant bells, echoing through the trees. Her heart pounded as she looked around, expecting another hiker or perhaps a local guide. But the forest was empty. Then she saw it, the shadowy outline of a sleigh gliding effortlessly over the snow, completely unhitched, as if carried by the wind itself. She watched in terror as it passed, hearing the distinct creak of wood and the bell's resonance, but seeing no horses, no driver, only snow and shadow. When she blinked, it was gone, leaving her trembling, her camera untouched, and only the echo of the bells in her mind. Even more unnerving are the reports from hunters who swear that the sleigh does more than appear. It follows. On several occasions, witnesses have described trudging through deep snow only to realize the jingling has kept pace with them, moving faster when they quicken their steps, slowing when they hesitate. The air becomes heavier, colder, almost tactile, pressing against the skin and chilling the bones. One hunter, who asked to remain anonymous, recalled a night when he heard the bells approaching from behind. He spun around, heart racing, and caught a glimpse of runners sliding over the snow at impossible speed. Yet no horses, no driver. The tracks he discovered later were unlike any animal or vehicle he had ever seen. Parallel grooves, perfectly straight, stopping mid-path as if the sleigh had lifted off the ground. What makes these encounters especially disturbing is the consistency. Though separated by decades and miles, every story shares common details. The jingling bells, the silent approach, the sudden vanishing, and the impossible tracks in the snow. Witnesses report a feeling of being watched, followed, and almost taunted. The sleigh does not chase in a traditional sense. It stalks, it hovers at the edge of perception, and then it disappears before fear turns to panic. Yet its presence lingers in memory, in the mind, and in the icy gusts of the Vermont forest long after the encounter ends. In the cold, white silence of Vermont's winter nights, the sleigh waits. Those who have heard its bells speak of an awareness that cannot be explained. The sound is deliberate, intelligent, as if the sleigh itself knows who listens. And for the unlucky few, the forest becomes a place where the line between the living and the spectral blurs, where snow holds secrets too chilling to voice aloud, and where the phantom sleigh glides just beyond sight, ringing its bells as a reminder that some presences are not meant to be challenged, only endured. For centuries, people have tried to make sense of the phantom sleigh. Some insist it is nothing more than folklore, a trick of the imagination in the snow and wind. Scientists and skeptics have offered explanations. Snow can play strange games with sound. It carries and amplifies noise in unusual ways. The wind can whistle through trees, creating the illusion of bells ringing. Hallucinations caused by exhaustion, cold, or isolation are also common in harsh winter storms. To many, these explanations seem enough to rationalize the fear, enough to dismiss the sleigh as legend rather than reality. But the truth, as those who have encountered it know, refuses to fit neatly into science. For every explanation, there are details that remain impossible to explain. Witnesses hear the jingling coming from multiple directions at once, as if the bells exist in several places simultaneously. Tracks appear in the snow, perfectly aligned, deep enough to suggest the weight of a sleigh, but then they vanish, disappearing without a trace. Travelers report a sudden drop in temperature, so intense it cannot be attributed to the storm. Some even speak of an unseen presence brushing against them, as if the sleigh carries more than wood and iron, as if it carries spirits long lost to the snow. The sleigh's appearances are never predictable. It seems to move with intent, choosing when and where to reveal itself. Some nights, the forest is silent, the snow undisturbed. On others, the bells ring from the darkness, startling those who dare to walk through the storm. And it is not just the sound, it is the sensation. Many describe a weight in the air, a tension that presses against the chest, a chill that seeps into the very marrow. It is awareness, a presence that cannot be fully explained by wind, snow, or isolation. Some researchers suggest a historical origin for the phenomenon. They point to tragic accidents in Vermont's snowy past. Lost travelers, stagecoaches that never reached their destinations, and untimely deaths in blizzards. Could these events have left an imprint on the land itself, a kind of memory embedded in the forests? Could the phantom sleigh be the echo of those lost souls, wandering eternally through the snow, ringing their bells as they search for paths that no longer exist? The idea is chilling, and it is supported by the consistency of reports across decades. From the 1800s to today, witnesses describe the same sleigh, the same bells, and the same haunting presence. Yet, no matter how much science tries to explain it, no one has found proof of horses, no driver, no sleigh hidden beneath the snow. Cameras catch only empty woods, sound recorders capture faint jingles with no source, and tracks vanish before they can be fully examined. The sleigh seems to exist outside the rules of the natural world, an apparition that plays on fear and imagination while leaving no tangible evidence behind. It is a presence that can be felt, heard, and experienced, but never touched. In Vermont, winter storms carry a warning. The phantom sleigh waits in the snow, appearing to those who wander too far, testing the boundaries between what is real and what is imagined. Some say it is a spirit, some say a hallucination, some say a curse of the forest itself. But for those who have heard its bells, seen the tracks, or felt the icy press of its presence, there is no question. The sleigh is real, in a way that defies reason, a haunting reminder that some mysteries exist beyond the reach of science, waiting patiently for the next traveler to stumble into their path. One of the most terrifying and widely reported encounters with the phantom sleigh took place in the remote mountains of northern Vermont in the winter of 1978. A group of experienced hikers, well prepared for the blizzard that had blanketed the region, had set out for a multi-day trek. As night fell, the storm intensified, snow whipping sideways in violent gusts, reducing visibility to almost nothing. They huddled near an old clearing, deciding it was too dangerous to continue, when it began. Faint jingling, almost imperceptible at first, growing steadily louder, cutting through the roar of the wind. At first, they thought it must be another group, perhaps a snowmobile or a team of hunters. But no lights appeared through the swirling snow. No figures emerged from the darkness. And then they noticed the tracks. Perfectly straight, deep impressions in the snow that seemed to lead directly toward them. But there were no horses, no sleigh. The tracks simply ended in the middle of the clearing, disappearing as if lifted from the earth by some unseen force. Panic began to rise as the jingling grew louder, circling them now, weaving between the trees. One of the hikers, Mark, claimed he saw it. A shadowy outline, gliding across the snow with no visible driver, runners scraping silently as if barely touching the ground. The sleigh moved with impossible grace, faster than any human or horse could manage in such conditions. The wind seemed to carry its sound, the bells ringing in perfect rhythm, yet no source could be found. A cold pressure pressed down, heavier than the storm itself, and Mark felt as though invisible eyes were watching every move. The group tried to retreat to the nearest cabin, but no matter which path they took, the sound of bells followed them, growing ever closer, then receding, then circling once again. One hiker swore he glimpsed a figure wrapped in tattered robes standing at the edge of the clearing, holding the invisible reins. Another felt the brush of something cold and solid along the back of his neck, though nothing was there. The terror was overwhelming. Their rational minds searched for explanations: wind, snow, imagination. But the evidence before them, the jingling that danced impossibly across the trees, left no room for comfort. By the time they reached safety hours later, exhausted and shivering, the forest had returned to silence. The tracks in the snow remained in their memory, the impression of the sleigh as vivid as if they had seen it clearly, and the sound of its bells continued to echo in their minds long after the storm had passed. Word of their encounter spread quickly, cementing this incident as the most famous sighting of the phantom sleigh. Researchers and locals alike debated its origin, but no one could deny the terror they had faced in the Vermont winter night. Even now, decades later, the story of that night is told by those who live in the region. Parents warn children not to venture into the forests alone during blizzards. Hikers and hunters carry stories of the sleigh as cautionary tales. And the phantom sleigh itself remains elusive, appearing only to those who dare to step into the heart of the storm, reminding all who hear its bells that some mysteries are eternal, some spirits are restless, and some presences glide silently through the snow, unseen, unfathomable, and unforgettable. Even decades after the most famous encounter, the phantom sleigh has never truly disappeared from Vermont's winter forests. Locals continue to report strange experiences: especially during blizzards when the forest is blanketed in deep snow and visibility drops to almost nothing. In recent years, hikers, snowmobilers, and hunters have all shared stories eerily similar to those told in the past. Jingling bells with no visible source, sleigh tracks that vanish into untouched snow, and sudden chills that seem to follow them through the trees. In one recent case, a snowmobile rider named Jason recounted hearing faint bells echoing across a frozen clearing in northern Vermont. At first, he thought it was another rider nearby, but the snow was empty, and the sound moved around him, never coming from a single direction. When he looked down, he saw parallel grooves in the snow, deep and perfectly straight, like a sleigh had passed, yet there were no horses or vehicle in sight. Jason later admitted that he could still hear the jingling in his dreams, a haunting memory that left him uneasy for weeks. Social media has made it possible for these sightings to gain more attention. Hikers post images and videos of forests blanketed in snow, claiming to have captured glimpses of the sleigh or its strange tracks. Though blurry and inconclusive, these posts attract both skeptics and believers, reigniting debates about whether the sleigh is real, supernatural, or merely a trick of the winter storms. Even local news outlets have covered reports of the phantom sleigh, interviewing frightened witnesses who describe sounds and sightings that defy explanation. What makes these modern encounters especially unnerving is the sense of inevitability. The sleigh does not strike randomly. It seems to choose its moments, appearing when the storm is at its harshest and when those in the forest are most vulnerable. People describe the feeling of being followed, watched, and tested, an invisible presence that knows their every move. Some hikers have sworn that the sleigh circles them, staying just at the edge of perception, before vanishing as suddenly as it appeared, leaving only silence, snow, and the lingering echo of bells. Fear of the sleigh affects the behavior of locals. Paths through the forests are avoided during blizzards. Hunters and hikers double-check weather forecasts, aware that a sudden storm could bring them face-to-face with a presence that cannot be outrun. Even the most seasoned outdoorsmen speak of the forest with caution, sharing warnings passed down by generations. Listen for the bells, watch the tracks, and never assume you are alone in the snow. The phantom sleigh of Vermont remains a haunting part of winter folklore because it has endured, adapting to modern times while keeping its terrifying core intact. The echoes of its bells, the vanished tracks, and the impossible sightings remind all who venture into the snow that some presences refuse to fade. And as long as blizzards sweep through the forests of Vermont, the sleigh will wait, silent, unseen, and patient, a chilling reminder that some legends are more than stories. They are warnings etched into the snow and carried by the wind. The forests of Vermont fall silent after a blizzard, blanketed in snow and ice, yet the memory of the phantom sleigh lingers. Even when the storm has passed and the wind dies down, those who have heard its bells speak of a presence that cannot be ignored. It is a sound that echoes in the mind long after the ears have stopped perceiving it, a vibration that chills the soul and reminds travelers that some mysteries are never fully revealed. The sleigh waits in the snow, patient and unseen. Its appearance is fleeting, unpredictable, and terrifying. Some nights, the forest is empty, still, as if nothing exists beyond the white drifts. Other nights, the jingling bells begin softly, teasing the ears, drawing those who wander too far into the heart of the storm. Witnesses describe tracks that vanish mid-path, shadows that glide without form, and a sensation of being followed by eyes that do not belong to this world. It is a presence that cannot be confronted, only experienced, and it leaves no evidence for the rational mind to hold on to. What makes the phantom sleigh truly chilling is the idea that it could appear at any time. Anyone walking alone in Vermont's snow-laden forests during a blizzard could encounter it. The sound of bells might ring out tonight, tomorrow, or decades from now. No matter the era, the sleigh glides across the snow, untouched by time, a ghostly reminder that some forces exist beyond understanding. Those who hear its bells are reminded that the world is not always as it seems, that the unseen can follow, watch, and haunt even in the quietest, most desolate places. Perhaps the sleigh is the echo of lives lost to winter storms, a spirit of the forest itself, or something far older and more enigmatic? No one can say for certain, but the chilling truth remains. The phantom sleigh of Vermont is real. To those who hear its bells, see its shadow, or feel its icy presence brushing against them. And when the wind howls and snow covers the forest floor, one must wonder, are you alone? Or is the sleigh gliding silently through the white, its bells ringing just for you, marking your passage through a forest where some mysteries never sleep? So, if you ever find yourself walking the snowy paths of Vermont during a blizzard, pause and listen. Listen for the faint jingling of bells. And remember, in those forests, the phantom sleigh might be closer than you think, gliding just beyond sight, waiting, patient and eternal.